What a week.
Mate, a bit on.
So much stuff on. A week for the ages, but I think right off the bat, what we need to do, what you and I need to do is address the elephant in the room. And that is the Brisbane Broncos beating the Roosters on the weekend. Destroying my perfect round of tipping.
Destroying mine too. Were we the only two who tipped Manly in our mates tipping comp?
Idiots.
Oh, idiots.
Mate, Tommy Turbo turns that side into a top four side.
And the Eels, as soon as they face some adversity, they crumble.
A good side even.
Yeah.
They just, because they got the Storm early. They beat the Storm early.
Yeah.
Who else have they beaten?
They're flat track bullies, mate.
They defeated a deflated Roosters side.
Yeah.
Who the Broncos beat, Planet Bronc. So, yeah, Eels not much chop.
No, mate, they're flat track bullies. When they score a few early points, things are all going well. And, as soon as they find some difficult opposition, they crumble. And you know what? That's the reason why I really don't like the animal as well, eels. Just hate eels.
Well said. Oh, what's this?
Oh, what's that that's just popped up behind you all of a sudden?
So, for the educated and the uneducated drifter out there, we have rebranded from the Polo Punk Club to On the Drift. So, why, you might ask? Because we felt like it?
Yeah, it's our podcast, not yours.
100% right. And we thought On the Drift was a bit more inclusive. Polo Punk Club, when people ask us about our podcast, bit hard to explain.
There's a full story behind it, which is a cracking story, and it's something that will forever be close to our hearts. But you're right, the On the Drift phrase is a lot more inclusive to the wider racing and perhaps non-racing community.
Absolutely. So moving forward, that is what the podcast will be known as. Content's not going to change a single bit, I don't think.
No, nor are we.
No, nor are we, even though, we might have some corporate dollars flowing in.
We're sellouts already.
Yeah.
We're sold out.
So this rebrand may or may not have coincided with a partnership, which we will announce to everyone in due course. But we just wanted to address that right off the bat. Polo Punk Club is now On the Drift. On the Drift Potty on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and On the Drift on YouTube. Mate, so much. A very snap decision made by us this week to go through with it.
Yeah. It was literally a car ride from essentially Tenerife to Tenerife.
Yeah.
It was a snap decision, but I'm glad we went through with it. Don't know who the graphic designer was that we paid to do that, because they did an outstanding work. They need a pay rise.
You did do a great job. So obviously the red with sharpening odds, the green for the drifting odds. That's why we're going with that color scheme. Black is, we're bad people.
Bad men, yeah.
Bad people.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the main change this week, punters. But what we're so excited about this, and that is the partnership that we've just agreed to with, drumroll, Ladbrokes. Who would have thought?
Nah, me. Yeah, cracking news. Laddies. How good.
The only bookie I punt with.
Yeah, the only one I've ever punted with.
So they have SGMs, SRMs. They give you fixed odds. They give you all the good stuff.
Great ads.
Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah.
One of the great performers on ads. So
yeah, geez. Very unexpected, but absolutely cracking person.
Yes.
To have, yeah.
So I can't wait to get stuck in. Basically, ladies are going to sponsor this part of the podcast, and we're also going to be writing an article for them about this segment. So it's basically a special interest segment, which what we've been doing previously. So like, would you buy or sell this horse if you were offered that much for last week's episode? What else have we done?
We've done the team of the autumn, which was cracking team.
Our worst beats on the punt, stuff like that.
Punt, yeah.
So moving forward, this segment of the podcast will be living on Ladbrokes sites as well, but predominantly on ours. So it's a nice little partnership that we have going. So without further ado, the Ladbrokes special interest segment of the week. Please take it away.
So we thought, in the spirit of Zaki giving them an absolute thumping,
A hiding.
in the Doomben Cup on the weekend. I was at the track, and Annabelle Neesham was actually standing right in front of me. She was going off like a cut snake, and so was I, because we both picked him on top.
So she should be.
And Toffee Tongue ran a nice second as well, which was great. But anyways, so upon reflection, Zaki obviously was recently purchased from Europe, from the UK, brought over to Australia. There was another horse who ended up being scratched from that race, but is actually racing this weekend in Doomben, who was also purchased from Europe, but hasn't quite lived up to expectations.
And he was also my on-top selection in the 2019 Melbourne Cup, I believe.
Yes, I think so. And that's Southern France. And
One of the great pretenders.
oh, yeah, the French, mate. They're soft. Soft and stinky.
Like a good cheese.
Yeah, exactly right. And he opened at about $100 for this race, and then was scratched, and to the surprise of, absolutely no one. So there's been a lot of European horses who've made their way down under over the years. Some of them have been really good, others not so much. So for the Laddie segment this week, we're just going to dive into that a bit more, and we're going to talk about some of the big winners that have come over from Europe and basically been adopted children of Australia. They've got permanent residency, they've been approved, and maybe they've even got citizenship now. And some others where maybe they should have just stayed at home. So I'll kick us off with the gems.
Yes.
Do you want to do the duds, or do you want to go tit for tat?
No, I'll do the duds.
Yeah, there's some shockers in there, mate.
Yeah, because I've a few bones to pick here.
Okay. All right, so I'll kick off the gems. And this bloke is just a real punter's horse. Tough, consistent, performed when he needed to. Unfortunately was stuck behind arguably the greatest racehorse of all time. This girl right here.
Winks.
And that's Hartnell.
Hartnell. Dealer's choice. But one of the great horses. I think he won a Group 1 from 1,400 up to 2,400.
Yes. Just an absolutely insane horse. He won 4 Group 1s. He won 6 other black type races, so group races. And then he was the bridesmaid in 4 Group 1s to Winks. So if Winks wasn't there, that's potentially 8 Group 1s. And that's right up there in the upper echelon of horses that we've had. So, yeah, great horse. And in the Epsom Handicap in 2018, he actually broke the track record at the mile. That started at $20.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
And he's even won up to 3,200. That's how versatile Big Hartnell is. What a horse.
So, honorary Australian citizen, Hartnell, welcome.
Aussie Hartnell.
Yeah, exactly right. Moving on to a Melbourne Cup winner, who I think you probably would have had on the day, Fiorente.
Brad did,
okay.
one of our great mates.
So, Fiorente was a pretty successful 3-year-old in the UK, winning multiple group races. And then Gay Waterhouse actually purchased it. Still a stallion. Came over to Australia. Ran second in its first Melbourne Cup, which is cracking, obviously.
Duh.
Then ran third in the Cox Plate the following year.
Wait for age proven.
And goes on to win the Melbourne Cup.
That's a fair prep.
Jeez. Not bad. So, and still had his nuts the whole time.
Of course he did.
So, became a really good stallion prospect. He's now standing at Sunstud in Victoria. So, and that was actually Gay Waterhouse's first Melbourne Cup.
Yes, it was.
So, there you go. Moving on to a current horse who's still in play at the moment, Sir Dragonet. Look, he had a shocker on the weekend.
Mate, he's put in a few shockers.
He's put in a few, but when he's good, he's very good.
You know what? I reckon he's on par on enigma status with Nature Strip?
Yeah, I think he's not the biggest enigma in Australian horse racing of recent times as Nature Strip is, but he certainly, if he puts in a few more good shifts and then a few more bad shifts, I'll tell you what.
Mate, he's proving hard to cash, Big Sir Dragnet, because he's putting in a terrible run first up when he was over,
1,600 or something.
No, not even 1,400.
Yeah, right.
CF4.
Okay. Yeah, right. Okay, yeah.
On a good track, and he was pumped in that day, and everyone's just going like, how far is this thing going to win by? It loses by 10 lengths.
Yeah.
Then he wins a Group 1 in the same prep.
Insanity.
Yeah, he's proving very difficult to catch.
He is, but he is a Cox Plate winner.
He is.
Which is arguably our toughest race to win.
And Bossy said he's the third best horse he's ever ridden.
Yeah, I love Bossy's bold statements. Brad Weston had him on that day, so very well found, because he was labelled a bit of a non-winner, Sir Dragonet, not Brad, Sir Dragonet, when he came over to Australia after coming second in 4 consecutive races. One was to Magical, so could be worse. But went on to win the Cox Plate. He's won the Group 1 Tancred on a dry deck since then. Matt Dolan had him that day. So might be tough to find, but the Polo Punt Club members can find him sometimes, which is always good.
Yes.
So let's see how he goes in the spring. But that's just a few examples of some good horses to come from Europe in Australia.
Beautiful. Well, I've got the absolute shockers, and I couldn't think of a better horse to start with here, but this horse ran 4th in the 2019 Caulfield Cup. It started as a $9, I reckon, second or third favourite in the Melbourne Cup, finished 13th. After his Melbourne Cup run, he had 7 starts, finishing last 3 times, with the best finish being 5th of 14 in an open handicap. Now, I'll give you all a bit of time to really have a think about who it is, because it's quite obvious. And that's Constantinople, one of the great pretenders of the modern age.
Oh, I can't say I ever had any money on him, so I've dodged a bullet there.
So you know what I've realised? All 3 of these horses are from the Lindsay Park stable.
No way.
Yeah.
There you go. Okay.
So the second one, I also backed this horse in the Melbourne Cup in 2017. He ran second in the St. Leger at Doncaster in 2016. Huge raps on this horse coming over. Targeting the 2017 Melbourne Cup, where he finished 21st, beaten 30 lengths. So obviously something was up. Doesn't help my bank account, though.
Oh, certainly doesn't.
My Ladbrokes account. But since the 2017 Melbourne Cup, he's had 33 starts for 2 wins, one of which was a maiden hurdle at Ballarat. And that's Ventura Storm.
How's the connections? The connections are just, just get us bloody something with this horse, eh?
A maiden hurdle? Sure.
Yeah, we just need something back from this horse. Ventura Storm, storming home is probably something that's never been uttered.
And then the last one. Now, this one was funny. So, obviously, all of these horses are quite recent. Obviously, our memory doesn't go back that many moons. But Muntaha, this horse won the Ebor handicap before coming over to compete in the 2018 Melbourne Cup. Starting $17 in that Melbourne Cup, which that's probably sitting around your 5th to 6th line of betting in the Melbourne Cup.
It's one for the exotics.
Yeah, absolutely. You're like, okay, this horse can finish 4th. And it ran 9th, ran in the top 10. I reckon the connections would probably be happy. But my goodness, since that, this horse just proceeded to do absolutely nothing. Had 6 starts for a combined losing margin of 80 plus lengths.
Just not interested in turning up at all.
So it was basically going like, every time it was going out there, it was going to lose by 14 or more lengths.
That's a good-looking horse, though.
Yeah, he was the grey before, he was like charcoal. Yeah, he's a really nice dark grey. But yeah, Muntaha, I think he's happy that his racing days are over, the big fella.
So are all connections, and so are all the punters.
And Lindsay Park.
Yeah. Oh, and Lindsay Park. Oh, gee whiz. But mate, yeah, some real shockers in there. And And I guess, for context, punters, we're not talking about horses that have come over and tried to, have a go at the Cox Plate or the Melbourne Cup and then bail. We're talking about horses that try to make Australia home and they just didn't fit in.
No.
At all.
No. So, they got their passport stamped. They had a look around. They're like, gee, this weather's nice.
Yeah.
It's better than the shit we get back at home.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sick of this soft track and heavy track we always get. Give me something good and dry.
Yeah. And then when they've got here, they just were not up to the standard.
Nah, no thanks.
No, unlike Zaki, one of the greats. So
yeah, there you go. So, yeah, mate, look, it was a lot of fun. But I'm sure we'll see a lot more come on over to the, the brighter side of life in Australia over spring.
Absolutely. So I'm just doing a bit of Googling here. So if you wanted to read this and have a read through the article, punters, it's on ladbrokes.com.au. Just Google Ladbrokes blog, and there's a special interest section there, and you can have a read through and see our mugs there.
Exactly right. I'm sure they'll pump it through all their socials, so you probably see it there, and obviously all the On the Drift socials as well.
Beautiful. So that is the special interest segment done. We'll probably come up with a name with that, I would imagine, but let's get into some Group 1 racing. The Queensland Derby Day at Eagle Farm. So I did want to say this before we stuck into the Group 1 races, and I might have said this on another audio platform today, which if you keep your eyes and ears posted on our socials, you'll also see something hovering around.
There is something bubbling away, which I'll tell you what, I'm so excited for it, punters. I can only imagine how you guys feel.
Yeah, I know.
There's something bubbling away, so keep an eye out and an ear out.
Holy clickbait.
Yeah, big clickbait.
But I had a look at the last 2 Saturday Metro meetings at Eagle Farm, because Eagle Farm does play differently to Doomben.
Oh, God, yeah.
18 races. Of those 18 races, there was 12 horses that won that were sitting in the top 3 when they were entering the straight. Heard Tony Golan talk about the Eagle Farm. He said it's in much better condition than it was a year ago, but it is rock hard.
Yeah.
So a good 3 to 4 track will probably, from what I can gather, play a lot harder than your typical Sydney good 3 or good 4.
Still a little tiny bit of give in the ground.
Yeah.
We're unforgiving up here in the Sunshine State.
100%. So just keep that in mind, punters. I've looked for leaders or horses that can stay on speed throughout the weekend. So just keep that in mind. But onto the Derby. Set weights, 2,400 metres. Mate, Kingston Towns took this for the taking.
Oh, how good. That's a cracking horse.
Tulloch, Dark Dream, who's in front of me, then he was consequently sold to Hong Kong, which a lot of the winners of the Derby or a lot of runners in the Derby land up going. And Mr. Quickie as well, who won the last edition of this race. But first run in 1868.
Yeah, right.
Hectic. So only 4 mares have won the race since 1983, including... Oh, that can't be right. No. Disregard that stat because it's saying Black Caviar in there. That can't be right. So that's another stat. So disregard that. But
didn't realise Black Caviar could get out that far.
Here we go. 7 of the last 10 winners have had their last start in Sydney.
Okay.
Yeah. But Explosive Jack, he's going for history here, wanting to become only the second horse in history to go for the 4th Derby, which would be the Tasmanian, Australasian, and South Australian Derby into the Queensland Derby. So Explosive Jack, history is against him, but far out, how many horses would have the option to go for the 4th?
Oh, yeah. Already proven so much, Explosive Jack.
Well, he's the favourite.
Yeah.
He looks hard to beat.
He does, yeah. Look, I think coming into this race, you've got to consider class and you've got to consider who's beaten who. And a lot of these horses, of course it's a Queensland race, have been racing in Queensland. I think I'd prefer to look at something that's got some form from down south. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts?
I think Explosive Jack, the $2.80 on offer with laddies, is looking pretty damn good considering his resume. But I do think there are a few other horses to consider into the mix. Prominently, the top 3 in the order of the race. Let's Crack a Deal. He's been fantastic. Only thing is that he's only won once out of 8 starts. Now, I had to Google and listen to a previous race to see how this horse is actually, his name is actually pronounced. But Cucaracha, the 3.
Cucaracha.
Yeah.
I actually backed it its last start.
So did I. I thought it was a cracking bet. And he looks to be peaking here. And he is from Queensland, but he has had a race or two down south. But his prep so far has been 1,400, 1,600, 2,000, and he's been getting better each start. I think he's going to be right in the mix here at the 2,400 metres. Waller has 6 horses in this race.
Unbelievable.
And J-Mac is on the back of this one. So that says to me that either this thing or the thing that Bowman's riding, Senior Toba, are the top seeds. And this horse is 17-1.
Yeah, and look, to your point, if you want to have something that's on pace and leading or close to the lead coming onto the straight, Senior Toba gets pretty far back. So we'll have to do a lot of work. Had a cracking run last ride in the Rough Habit, I believe it was, where it was sort of towards the back for most of the race and probably with 800 metres to go, started to make a run and I'd say was sort of coming up to the leaders with about 200 to go and ended up coming third there. Cracking run. Draws super wide here though. Barrier 21. Basically is running at Doomben still. So far away. We'll go back from that barrier anyway though, so I don't think it's as big a deal as what you'd probably usually anticipate. Punters over 2,400 metres. Also the wider barrier is probably not as much of an issue. But however, I'd probably rather be with Cucaracha than Senior Toba when we're talking about Waller horses.
Yes. I've got Explosive Jack on top, but my bet in the race will probably be Cucaracha at $14, not the 17 I was quoting before, but I think they're the main chances, and I've got Let's Crack a Deal in the mix as well. I'm keeping it simple, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, very fair. I think Explosive Jack will be very hard to beat. He was so impressive in his win down in South Australia. He looks like a genuine staying horse.
Just a grinder.
Oh, and a big motor to sustain a sprint for 300, 400 metres, which is really rare to find in a 3-year-old colt.
Yeah, and I heard some chatter, some yarn about how long can this horse keep going for, and it is a fair point. He's been up since basically February. That was when he won the Tasmanian Derby. And he started his prep before that in January. So he has had 3 weeks between runs. For this run, this will only be his second run in 7 weeks. So I think he'll still be pretty fresh. And if there's a stable that knows their horses that go into long preps, it's Kieran Maher, David Eustace.
Yeah, great Derby trainers.
Look what they did with Purse Arm. He just kept running.
Yeah.
And he ran 5th in the Melbourne Cup.
Mate, yeah, you're 100% right. Some horses just really thrive on continuously being under work. I think Explosive Jack might be one of those. And I think he has drawn a really good barrier because I think Johnny Allen can take a seat and choose where he puts him. I think he'll be in the front half of the field, so I think he'll get every chance to be in that top 3, top 5 sort of horses on the straight. So yeah, he's my top selection as well. I like Let's Crack a Deal.
You do.
I'm a fan. I thought he'd run well in the Derby last start. Ended up running second. There was a bit of a gap between him and the rest of the field, so I can't see him having a bad run here. Draws really well. Another Allen on board, get him into the right position. And I'm going to chuck in a roughie.
Please do.
Into third place. Currently paying $34 on the Ladbrokes tote. Number 7, Bucharest.
Oh, you have a love affair with that horse.
I picked him when he placed in a Group 1, which another one of our favourites, Lions Raw, placed in. Lions Raw nearly won that. Bucharest did it.
I do remember that race.
Yeah, behind Montefilia.
Yeah.
Where are they now? Look, draws wide.
He does.
But gets to a good track, which he hasn't had since the Randwick Guineas over 1,600 metres, where he ran 11th of 13, but 1,600 metres isn't his go. Always wants to get out to this distance. Chris Waller knows how to train him over this distance. I think he'll still sit in the front half of the field. Kieran McAvoy on board. $34.
Seems overs.
So if you want to have a bit of a spec, there's a few decent chances at a good price in this race, punters. But yeah, Bucharest.
Yeah, looking through his profile, I think he would really appreciate that better ground. But
gotcha.
But yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I've got Explosive Jack on top, Kook Racha, if that is indeed your name, and Let's Crack a Deal into third.
Yeah, cool.
So into the Kingsford Smith. So this is where I was talking about Black Caviar before. So there's only been 4 mares that have won this race, fillies or mares that have won it since 1983. Including the Great Black Caviar. So if you're a filly or a mare in this race, it's going to be pretty hard going, which is difficult because the favourite in this race is Savatiano, who is indeed a mare. But it's 1,300 metres away for age. Previous winners, Apache Cat. Black Caviar has said Chief De Beers. He's basically the best horse out of Brisbane, I'd say. One of. Impending. Remember him a few years ago for Godolphin?
Yep.
Absolutely unstoppable. And then the last winner of this race was the Bostonian, who crushed quaddies again that day. But far out, mate. This race is a good race. I'm keen to watch this race.
Yeah, it is a really good race, really open race.
Well, you have the Goodwood winner who got the dream runs of all time.
Unbelievable.
Savatoxel. But, gee, I basically just didn't even see it in the form guide for the Goodwood. But, mate, look at its profile. 27 starts on a good track, 15 wins. Like, it is a seriously competitive and honest horse. Berend Vorster, Berend. Barend. Bar Vorster's flown into Brisbane to ride. So I do think he's in with the mix, but he's not my on-top selection.
Yeah, look, I didn't look at Savatoxel too much. I appreciate he's a Group 1 winner now, but...
dream run on the rail.
Dream run, absolutely. And I certainly didn't look at him that day. This horse isn't my on-top selection, but it's had a significant gear change for this race, and that is Jamie Carr on board, and that's Vega 1, number 9 for Uncle Tony Golan.
Don't you dare.
What are your thoughts on him for this race after he disappointed you last time?
He didn't disappoint me. Look, it would have been nice if he ran into third. Would have been very nice, but he ran a nice race, but... Off the back of that, I was just like, is he just not... Is he a rung below? And he's always just going to be behind some better horses on the day. I don't know. And ticks for him, good track. Tony Golan was saying that Eagle Farms his track, not Doomben. So that's another tick. And obviously Jay Carr on board. But where the hell does he get from barrier 13?
Oh, terrible barrier to draw. Agreed. And that's why I didn't look at him too much deeper.
But that's where Jamie Carr's a big tick, because she's just going to put him in whatever position he's comfortable. Could be 10 wide. But if he's comfortable, in a good rhythm, he could still win.
Oh, God, yeah.
Probably not, but yeah.
Yeah. Oh, look, I think he's in with a chance. Look, as you said, favourite in this race is a mare, and that's number 13, Savatiano, for the Godolphin stable. James Cummings, $4. Do you think that's about right for her?
I think so. I was nearly going to tip her, but I've gone hunting for some value in this race, and I've gone back to the well with Uncle Tony Golan. But Savatiano, she's the form in the race. Has form around Colding, beat home Masked Crusader and Colding during this prep. That's some serious form. 1,300 metres is probably a tick for her, but I do think she's probably a bit better with a little bit of sting out. That's just my gut feel with her. And barrier 8 actually looks a little bit sticky as well, so I'm happy to risk her, but I've got it in my numbers.
Okay. Savatiano is my on top bet. for the moment. And mostly because I just wanted to keep it simple. This is an open race. I think there's a lot of chances. G-Tra's one of mine. I really like him. And I like trekking a lot as well. G-Tra drawing barrier 15. Oh, I wasn't happy with that.
Well, just on G-Tra, I got it horribly wrong last podcast talking about him. He did not do a tendon. He just had a chipped bone. So
I was thinking that afterwards. I was like, I swear to God, he didn't do a tendon.
Because if he did a tendon, that is the quickest comeback of all time.
Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. I was talking to Brad about it on the weekend. I was like, I can't remember G-Tra doing his tendon. He's like, no, mate, he had a bit of floating bone in his leg. I was like, well, Brad would obviously know. So there you go.
I got him confused. But, G-Tra, where's he get from barrier 15? We've said it before with egg on our face, and I might have even more. I might have an omelette on my face next week. But
with some bacon.
1,300 metres, I'm still not convinced.
He has won at the distance before,
Heavy
but
track that day.
It was a heavy track.
Different gravy.
He beat Horbury on her and Imaging, who I don't think are genuine Group 1 horses. I like him. That barrier was a bit of a spook for me, but he's so consistent. If you look at his last few runs, third in the Goodwood. Last prep he had 2 wins and a third. The third was in the Everest.
Well, this is all you need to say. He's had 23 starts and he's been in the top 3, 22 of them.
There you go.
And I think the other one
couldn't have put it better myself.
So he's been in the top 4 his entire career.
He'll probably run a really good race. But yeah, I'm risking him here at the moment with Savatiano on top, but I've got him in my numbers. Guess who finally gets to a good track?
Tell me, please.
Trekking.
Yeah.
Finally gets to a good track, which he wants, I think. 1,300 metres, not an issue. Barrier 12, though, I think he might go find himself a bit back.
He's got the postcard draw as well. So I think it's a bit like that, and I'm tipping that there's going to be an upset. Tell me, in 30 words or less, why Jonker can't win this race.
I knew you were going to talk about Jonker, and he absolutely crushed my soul when I was at the track earlier this year. Actually, it was towards the end of last year, I believe. Yeah, it was.
Yep.
In the spring of last year, I was at Doomben, and I was still alive in the quaddie, and I had Deep Image and Master Jamie in my quaddie, and they ran second and third. And Jonker ran a track record first up for Uncle Tony Golan. So, yeah, that's more than 30 seconds, sorry, mate, but more than 30 words even. But yeah, look, I can't see any knock on him.
So he ran third in the Galaxy and he was beaten 6 lengths there. And Eduardo was unbelievable that day. Simply way too good. But Jonker was on a soft 7 that day, and that is not his go. He is drawn perfectly here because he's going to lead. Jim Byrne in the saddle. Tony Golan was filthy that he didn't get a run in the Doom 10,000 because he was lame in his hind quarter, which typically for me, that is a line through him for this race job. But I'm backing in Tony because I'm getting a price here.
You are.
So I think he is looking at the odds. He's $16 with the Ladbrokes. So I'm happy to jump in at that price. I think Jonker's a cracking bet to run in the top 3. I can't see him going outside it.
Yeah, that's fair enough, mate. At that price, $16, worth jumping on. Yeah, look, Savatiano for me on top. G-Tra running into second. We've got to chuck Trekking in there for third. I think he's finally getting to a good track, but I do admit a couple of sticky barriers there, and hence why I've got Savatiano on top at the moment.
Yeah, no, I have Jonker on top, Savatiano, and I did have Savatoxel into third, so which is weird, but he's consistent as well. All right, so on to our juicy stakes bets of the week, where we give our value each way and best bets of the day. And our best bets, we usually lob them in and all up. Now, the good people at Ladbrokes, mate, they are also giving us some cash and helping us do this charity bet each week.
Yeah.
Because,
you love to see it.
They have good souls.
You love to see it, helping us out. I think they'll break the drought.
I really hope so. And so we are now doing it for the Jockeys Trust, the National Jockeys Trust. So, the little warriors that ride these 500-600 kilo horses, they need all the help they can get because unfortunately, they're probably the first ones to get looked over. So, yeah, they do help, I think, past and present jockeys out when they're in a bit of a sitch.
Bit of a pickle.
Bit of a pickle. So, but we'll get to that. Value players of the day from last week. How'd you go?
Mate, this is not pretty reading.
Oh, dear.
I had Spurcraft as my roughie.
Oh, no.
It ran 12th. So that's a bit stinky.
I had Designs in the last. It ran 7th. Okay. J-Mac? No, it was Damien Lane. Apologies, J-Mac. But no, that's right. Designs 7th. Just never in the contest. Had California Zimble as my each way. Finished last, but it pulled up lame. So, yeah.
My each way was Groundswell, who coming off 2 wins, ran a nice 13th out of 15. So, yeah, I think was coming about 3rd or 2nd with 300 to go and just pulled up. So, I'm not sure if he was lame. But
Yeah. And my best of the day, Zaki. That was probably the easiest watch for me in a very, very, very long time.
Oh, it was great to be there to see it. Yeah, you just knew as soon as J-Mac got him to the front that he was just going to blitz them. So, yeah, well done, J-Mac. Well done, Annabelle Neesham, second Group 1 winner. That wasn't my best of the day, although it should have been. My best bet was Legay Soleil, who ran a nice 7th.
Yes, he did.
So... not the greatest day at the track. I will say thank God for Zaki and Toffee Tongue. That's all I'm going to say.
That's all you're going to say. But our value plays of the day, please kick it off.
Okay, so I want you to go to race 5 in Eagle Farm.
I'm here.
There you go. Number 7, Paths of Glory. So not the widest of roughies. $9.50 at the moment for Ladbrokes. Got some good form around aforementioned Zaki, who he actually beat, I'm pretty sure,
he
2
did.
runs back.
JRI plate over 2,000 metres, which that's unbelievable form. But I think he did get a lot of weight off Zaki that day.
He did, but I still think that the form is worth following. Craig Williams on the back, out of barrier 3, should get a nice sit. I think that's a good price, $9.50.
Absolutely. Once you go to race 1 on the card for me, had it as a roughie. If it wasn't last week, it was the week before. Number 12, Mousy.
Ah, yes, Mousy.
Only 10 horses in this race now. She does get back, but barrier 3, Bossy on board, 54 kilos. I think she can sit midfield. I think she has a good turn of foot, and she gets out to the 1,400 now. I think that's the missing piece. So she is currently, I believe, $11. So I think she's a good value play.
Yeah, nice, mate. So for my each way of the day, horse that I had as my best each way of the day a couple of weeks ago, and it ran 2nd to Warning by a nostril, which you just hate to see. But nice each way price at the moment, $5 for the win, $2 a place for Ladbrokes. Get your money back if it runs into the top 3, which is always nice, and that's number 11, So You Win in race 4. Huey Bowman on the back, drops a little bit of weight here, up in distance, draws well. I don't see why it can't run another good race.
I read out my each way bet, not my value. So these are my value bets. I have 2 of them. Obviously, the first one being...
First one was good value, mate.
Yeah. So that's my each way bet, $11. Take that to the bank. But my first roughie is Jonker in the feature.
Yeah, gotcha.
$16. That's a stupid price. But I want you to go to race 3, the Fred Best, and you have a very favoured horse, number 9, Ayrton, who's looking good, but my goodness, is this horse just overhyped? Who's it beaten?
That's very true, mate. I think $1.55 is very skinny at the moment on the Ladbrokes website. He looks a good thing. But if I was going to go a roughie in this race, I reckon it'd be one of Uncle Tony's horses down the bottom. Or have you looked elsewhere?
I've looked elsewhere.
Go on then.
How is Amish Boy in double figures here? And how is he $19?
Don't know.
He ran third in a Newmarket. He's proven against the older horses. You cannot say that about many of these other ones.
No, you can't. You cannot.
He gets back to a good track, which I think does suit. He gets way back. So he has to go against everything I've said this podcast.
Well, that's probably why you're getting a good price.
I'm getting a price to find out. So $19, Amish Boy, I think he can run into the top 3 for me. Yeah, I think he's a cracking bet this weekend.
Yeah, very fair.
I think he's a better place bet than Ayrton is to win.
Oh, Ayrton has gotten very, very skinny. $2.30 on the tote at the moment, though, so not too bad. And he's actually my best bet of the day.
Okay.
So look, I appreciate there is some chances in this race at a really good price, but he looks like a really good horse. Jamie Carr in the back draws really well. Needs to win this to qualify for the Stradbroke. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
he'll be wound up.
Yeah, he'll be very wound up, and look, hopefully he'll drift a little bit, get closer to $2, but best of the day.
No, fair enough. And that's putting a lot of pressure on race 5, number 2, Ladon de V. Absolutely spanked him in the Warrnambool Cup.
Yeah.
I think I look through this list of stayers, nothing spooks me. Nothing at all.
Except for my roughie Path of Glory.
Well, he can run second.
Yeah, he can run a nice second to Ladon de V.
Ladon de V, Barry 6, J-Mac on board. It just has... I'm sniffing the cash now.
But is there not a dangerous horse who's the top weight in this race?
Southern France, yeah. Yeah, he'll lock him in for 7th or 8th.
Yeah, well, it's consistent.
He is consistent.
Yeah. No, mate, good Ladon de V. I had a close look at Ladon de V as well, and didn't have it in the Warrnambool Cup because I didn't have a bet. But if I did, of course it would have been on it. So there you go.
You're a genius.
After the fact.
Yeah. It was $6.50 that day. Anyway, that's it. On the Drift, episode 1, episode 40 of this podcast, of this wholesome podcast.
See, it was the same, wasn't it, listeners and watchers? It was the same thing. You know, we've just recognised that, you know, sometimes you need to take opportunities that come your way.
Sure, we're massaging Ladbrokes a bit, but they're massaging us back.
Of course they are. It's a mutually beneficial relationship.
Of course it is.
And look, I'm looking forward to the weekend. I'm going to the track. I believe you are too.
Yes, I am.
There'll be some cracking horse races. Oh, it's just I love my state.
Yeah,
heading into Origin. Let's go.
Oh, absolutely, and go Queensland. But you'll see a bit more action on the socials this weekend, I'd imagine, because I'm the one who does all that.
Yeah.
So
I'm the pretty face, obviously.
Yeah, Rail. But yeah, I'll be doing some, to camera stuff or whatever. We'll see. But yeah, thanks for Ladbrokes for the support of this podcast. But and keep your eyes on the Instagram about 11 a.m. on Saturday for Brisbane listeners. But we'll be letting you know well in advance before that.
Keep your eyes peeled and your ears low to the ground because there's something bubbling away.
There is.
Oh, it's great stuff. But yeah, onwards and upwards.
Let's hope. Hooroo.
Good luck, punters.